Today I'm going to be answering a question from Chira something with a 4 on the end. Chira asked, Brian, can you please make a video on how to counter low kicks? Yes, I can. First, I'm going to review what your options are for defending and countering those low kicks. Then we're going to define which kicks you really should be focused on countering based on what you are training for. And finally, I'm going to give my personal recommendations on what I train. The classic Thai boxer's technique to defend a low kick is a simple knee check. What you're going to do is use the thicker part of your upper shin to block the middle part of your opponent's shin. Couple key pointers. Don't lift any higher than what you need to. If you got a leg kick coming in here, all you need to do is lift it right to there so that the upper part of your shin is blocking their kick. If you wind up standing any taller, you can get knocked off balance, your back leg can get swept out from under you. You simply don't need it. Plus, you can't counterattack as quickly. So all you do, lift it just high enough. If they're kicking at your lower leg, boom, that's all you need to do. If they're kicking at your groin, boom. Don't forget to keep your hands up, because if it's a false flag and they throw a punch or a high kick after that, you don't want to be down here with your face wide open. Now the Jeet tech or foot check uses the same principle as that shin check. We just use the bottom of your foot. Simply reach out with your lead leg foot and stop their kick. This tends to work a lot better at a longer distance where you have more time to get your foot in position. If you are up closer and a leg kick is coming in, you probably don't have time to get the bottom of your foot in position. You might only have time to quickly get your knee in position. So at closer ranges, use your shin. At further ranges, you can use a Jeet tech. Number 3, you can just jam into them. Yeah, just rush in. This puts a lot of kickers off balance. They go to kick and someone rushes in and it's, they get knocked off balance. They're easy to counter. When you rush in, a lot of times where their kick is going to land, you have moved forward past the sweet spot of their shin, right where they're going to have the most power. You have now gotten through that, and even if it lands, it's just not gonna hurt. When you rush in, simply push off that back leg. That way, if your front leg receives a blow, you don't have weight on it. You don't want to step with your back leg, because if you get hit, you've got all your weight on that leg and it can cause a lot more damage. But if you get hit on the way in here, it's just not going to do any damage. Now, if you're going to use this rushing in jamming technique, I recommend using the straight blast from Rapid Assault Tactics. Just rush in with a series of palm strikes, one after the other, right down their center line. I mean, it's a hell of a damn good attack anyway. Alternatively, there's a little thing out there called the Key-C fighting method. Don't mean to belittle it by saying a little thing, but they get their elbows up and they just rush forward. Quite frankly, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that, so that is another option to just jam in on them. I would not jam in with a double leg takedown. I'm not coming in face first against what could be a kick. Isn't that how Takanori Gomi knocked out Renzo Gracie? Now, by far and away, the simplest and safest and honestly quickest thing that you can do is simply move back. All you have to do, move back. If you've got a good stance and quick footwork, any kick that's coming, boom, you move back and it misses. See, I'm never a fan of standing still and trying to block really any kind of attack. See, back before I became a reality-based self-defense instructor, I cut my teeth in MMA and Muay Thai, and amongst some other sports. And one of the big things I used to like doing on people is I'd fire them a couple of leg kicks, and they'd start worrying about it. They'd start checking it, and their hand would come down a little bit, and I'd come in, looking right at their leg, wham, right to the head. Or they'd sit here and get their leg going, and I load this up and bam, pop a side kick right into their ribs. It's just never a good idea to stand still when someone's attacking you. Just move back, their attack becomes useless. Now, moving back is ideal for fighters that keep a kind of a wider, more agile footwork-based stance. If you've got kind of more of this classic L stance, this tight boxer stance, you can probably still shuffle back, but you don't have a very good footwork vector of return to come back with a counterattack. Keep a little bit wider and you move back. Worst that's going to happen is their toes hit your knee. That's bad for them, not for you. And you have the ability to move back and then come right back in with whatever attack you want. I like a side kick to the knee or a side kick to the ribs. And finally, you could honestly just let that leg kick land and fire a kick right up into their testicles. A fair exchange, I would think. Okay, now let's define what you are training for so we can figure out what you really should be spending your time on. In my opinion, nearly all martial arts focus on and train for something that won't really happen. So for instance, if you're in a real violent self-defense situation, a street fight, whatever, nobody's coming in trying to do a Muay Thai leg kick to your outer thigh. They might be trying to do a groin kick to your testicles. They might be trying to punch you in the face. They might be trying to tackle you or clench you. They might be trying to draw a handgun or swing at you with a knife or a club. But no violent street thug is out there practicing and perfecting a perfectly executed Thai leg kick to your outer or inner thigh or your lower leg, your calf. They're just not doing it. So frankly, why would you bother practicing defending it unless you are in fact a sport fighter? I pretty much never have my students practice defending those kinds of things. I just teach them to move back out of the way if they don't understand what an attack is. We aren't sport fighters, so we don't train for sport. We're street fighters, so we train for the street. So ask yourself this question. Are you training to win in a sport competition? Literally, do you plan on competing in sport fighting? If you do, then you absolutely, positively need to be training to defend against those low Muay Thai style kicks. If not, I wouldn't bother. It's a waste of your time. There's so many other more important things that you could be training that are actually, hopefully, you never get in a violent situation that you might actually have to face in a real life situation. Okay, so on to my recommendations. These are all based on your stance and range. So if you keep more of a traditional, kind of narrower Muay Thai stance, a little bit less about footwork and more about being able to kick with either leg at any time, then what I'm going to recommend in close range is just pop that shin check out there. That's regardless of whether it's a kick to the legs or in the street, a kick to the testicles. Now, if you keep a wider, more agile stance like I do, that's more based on footwork and getting in and out, I like to always think about your fencing with your hands and your feet, then the simplest and safest thing that you can do is literally just move out of the way. Now, if you're a little bit closer, you can still bring that knee up and still check. If you're a little bit further, just move out of the way. And once again, you can come right back in with your own side kick. Just pop back in, side kick. Now, when I'm up close, so close enough that you could exchange punches, close enough that a leg kick could land, I'm not just standing there waiting for my opponent to throw their combo, which can include a leg kick. I am on the offense. From a rapid assault tactics perspective, there should never, ever, ever be a time when you're close enough to reach your opponent that they could even land a leg kick. You should always be too far away, or if you're close, you're on the attack. You should be launching a boxing combination or a straight blast or maybe that elbow rush, trying to get into clinching range and finish them off with a Thai clinch. So what about sparring? How do you spar with your opponents throwing leg kicks? Well, if you're a sport fighter, it's simple. The answer is you need to train the way you want to respond in sport. So just like we already talked about, fire off your knee check and then maybe throw a counter punch to them. If you're training for the street, my response would be, why is your opponent throwing leg kicks? They should be throwing kicks to the groin, kicks to the knees, more effective kicks. But if they are going to throw kicks to your legs, just move out of the way and come back in with your own counter strikes. Don't pattern things that you're not going to use the way that you actually intend to use them. Don't train street stuff if you plan to sport fight. Don't train sport stuff if you're trying to learn to defend yourself in the street. Folks, if you like today's video, don't you dare hit that thumbs up or like button. Don't do it. I see you. And definitely do not subscribe for future videos. Who would do that? Sicko. If you want me to make a video on a particular topic in the future, absolutely do not. Leave that below in the comments. Until next time, go get your reps. Become a warrior.